1 Peter chapter 1. This is from Peter, an envoy dispatched by Jesus, the Anointed One, to those who are dispersed as visitors throughout Pontus, northeast Turkey, Galatia, central Turkey, Cappadocia, east Turkey, the province of Asia, west Turkey, and Bithynia, north Turkey, who are chosen according to the foreknowledge of Almighty the Father, so that by the Spirit's purification you might obey Jesus the Anointed One, and be sprinkled with His blood. May favor and peace be multiplied to you. May the Almighty and Father of our Master Jesus the Anointed One be blessed, who according to His great mercy has caused us to be born again. John 3, verses 3 through 6, and Romans 6, verses 3 through 4. Into a living hope, through the resurrection of Jesus the Anointed One from among the dead, for a non-decaying, undefiled, and unfading inheritance that has been kept in the heavens for you, who are continually being militarily guarded and protected by the power of Almighty, by means of faith for a salvation from destruction that is ready to be revealed in the last time period, the last age. In this you can continually celebrate, even if it has to be that briefly at this present time you have been made sorrowful by various tests, so that the proof of your faith, which is much more precious than perishable gold, which is being proved by fire, might be found to result in praise, esteem, and honor at the revealing of Jesus, the Anointed One, the beginning of the last age. Even though you weren't acquainted with Him physically, you are continually loving Him. And even though you aren't presently seeing Him, but are continually believing in Him, you can continually celebrate with an unspeakable and esteemed joy, since you are going to retrieve what your faith is completely about, the salvation from destruction of your sentient beings. It was concerning this salvation that the prophets who prophesied about the favor that would be yours sought and searched. They were continually searching for what time period, or what kind of time period the Anointed One's Spirit that was inside them was making evident, as it testified beforehand to the sufferings pertaining to the Anointed One, and the esteems to follow them. It was revealed to them that they weren't dispensing these messages to themselves, but to you, the same things that now have been delivered among you, through those who, by the pure Spirit dispatched from heaven, Acts 2, verse 4, have spread the good message to you, things into which the messengers desire to peer. For this reason, you must wrap your belt tight around the waist of your mind, ready for work. Be continually sober, in spirit, and put your hope completely in the favor that is going to be brought to you at the revealing of Jesus, the Anointed One, the beginning of the last age. As obedient children, you must stop configuring yourselves to the desires that you formerly held in your ignorance. Rather, just as the one who has called you is pure, you yourselves must also become pure in all your behavior. Because it has been written, "You must be continually pure, because I am pure." Leviticus 11, verse 44. Now if you are appealing to, as your Father, the one who is impartially judging each person according to his work, you must behave yourselves with deep respect for Almighty during the time that you are here as foreigners, being aware that you weren't ransomed from your meaningless behavior that was handed down by tradition from your parents, by things that are subject to decay like silver or gold, but by the precious blood of the Anointed One, like that of a flawless and unspotted lamb. On the one hand, He was known beforehand before the foundation of the world, Yet on the other hand, he was made apparent in these last times because of you, who through him are believers in Almighty, who woke him up from among the dead and gave him esteem, so that your faith and hope are in Almighty. Since you have already purified your sentient beings by your obedience to the truth, so that there is a fondness without pretense for the brothers and sisters, you must earnestly love one another from the heart, since you have been born again. John 3 verses 3 through 6 and Romans 6 verses 3 through 4. Not from a seed that is subject to decay, but from a seed that is never going to be subject to decay. That is, by means of the living and permanent Word of Almighty. For all flesh is like grass, and all the esteem is like a flower of the grass. The grass dries up, and the flower falls off. Yet the Master's declaration is going to stay even to the last age. Isaiah 40, verses 6 and 8. Now this means the declaration that was spread among you as the good message. 1 Peter chapter 2. So then, you must take off every kind of badness, every kind of fraud, hypocrisy, and envy, and every kind of thing spoken against one another. And like recently born babies, you must desire the unadulterated milk of the Word, so that by it you might grow up in a manner that results in salvation from destruction. Since you have tasted that the Master is kind. Musical Composition 34, verse 8. Since you are approaching him like a living stone, that, on the one hand, has been disapproved by humans, yet on the other hand, has been chosen by Almighty, and is held in honor by him. You also, like living stones, are continually being used to build up a spiritual house, so that you might be a pure group of priests, to offer up spiritual sacrifices that are most acceptable to Almighty through Jesus, the Anointed One. For this is included in the writing. Notice, I am laying in Zion, the mountaintop city, the top cornerstone, or a pyramid's top stone, that has been chosen and is held in honor, and whoever is continually having faith in him shall by no means be put to shame. Isaiah 28, verse 16. So then, he is the honored one to you who are continually having faith. Yet to those who are refusing to believe, the stone that was disapproved by the builders, it became the head cornerstone, a pyramid's top stone. Musical Composition 118, verse 22. And a stone that can cause one to stumble, and a rock that can cause one to trip. Isaiah 8, verse 14. For they are stumbling, as they were appointed to do, because they are continually unpersuaded by the word. Yet you are the chosen descendants. Deuteronomy 10, verse 15, and Isaiah 43, verse 20. A royal group of priests. Exodus 19, verse 6, and Isaiah 61, verse 6. A pure nation. Exodus 19, verse 6. A purchased people. Exodus 19, verse 5, and Deuteronomy 4, verse 20. So that you might speak out the message about the virtues of the one who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. For you once were not a people, yet now you are the people of Almighty, and hadn't been shown mercy, yet now you have been shown mercy. Hosea 2, verse 23. Dearly loved ones, I am encouraging you as foreigners and visitors to be continually abstaining from the desires of the flesh that are fighting a war against your sentient beings. Continually have an ideal behavior among the pagans, so that while they speak things against you, as being people who do things that are bad. By being spectators of your ideal works, they might esteem Almighty on the day when Almighty is going to take care of everything, the day of the last age. You must be subservient to every human creation because of the Master, whether to the king who is over you, or to governors as being sent by him, the king, for the giving out of justice to those who do what is bad, yet for the praise of those who do what is good. For this is what Almighty wants, that by continually doing what is good, you might be muzzling the ignorance of unintelligent humans. Act like free persons, only don't use your freedom as a cover-up for what is bad, but act like Almighty's slaves. You must show honor to everyone, must be continually loving the brothers and sisters, must be continually having deep respect for Almighty, and must be continually honoring the king. House slaves and employees, you must be continually subservient to your owners and employers with all respect, not only to those who are good and lenient, but also to those who are crooked. For this finds favor, if because of conscience towards Almighty, someone is undergoing sorrows when suffering unjustly. For what credit is there if you endure having your bodies punished when you do things that are wrong? But if you endure suffering when you do things that are good, this finds favor with Almighty. For you have been called to this, since the Anointed One also suffered on your behalf, leaving you a pattern to copy, so that you might follow in his footprints. He did nothing wrong, nor was any fraud found in his mouth. Isaiah 53 verse 9. Even though he was being wounded with words, he wasn't wounding back anyone with words. Even though he was suffering, he wasn't threatening anyone, but kept delivering it over to the one who was going to judge justly. He himself carried up to the stake the things that we have done that are wrong in his body, so that after we have stopped existing with regard to doing things that are wrong, we might live with regard to doing things that are right and just. By his wounds you have been healed. Isaiah 53 verse 5. For you used to be like straying sheep, but now you have turned back to the shepherd and caretaker of your sentient beings.